So my presentation is exploring movement, and it is based on a book called Playing with Movement by Todd Hargrove. And when I read this book, it got me excited because this really kind of changed my thoughts, and it changed the way I approached my own fitness and health, and it has so much relevance for people with pain. So I wanted to share, it's kind of like my little book review here. So it starts by talking about what does it look like to have healthy movement? What's movement health? So we know basically that fitness means being prepared to do physical work. If you stress your body with movement or resistance and then rest, it leads to improvement. And everybody has experienced this, like with training for sports or training for an event. When you have pain, it can kind of change your sense of what you can and can't do. And so I'm just asking you to shift your idea up and think like a child. Think about being playful. Think about how a child would approach something that you need to do. And pay attention to where your body is in relation to the environment. Think about how does the movement make you feel? And so if a movement doesn't feel right, being a little bit more playful and seeing, well, could I do that a different way? An example is that if I am somebody that loves playing darts, but I've got a sore shoulder, I'll figure out a way that I can throw that dart reasonably without it really aggravating my shoulder. So, I mean, that example may not work for everybody, but we do have this way of figuring out, like every time you go to lift something, maybe you do it a little bit differently just based on your body giving you feedback. And so this is something to be really curious about. And then think about the environment. There's some environments that will just invite you to move. So for me, hiking or walking trails, that really gets me excited. I can walk longer. If children, they love playgrounds. Some people love dance floors. But there are also environments that might discourage movement. And I was thinking that as Claudine talked about the risk of sitting down and paying attention to a session like this for a number of hours is it actually encourages you to stay still. And so we definitely are going to work on counteracting that tendency because movement is actually really important. So play. Humans actually play more than any other animal. So it must have a purpose. There must be a reason that we play because sometimes we put ourselves in danger when we're being playful. So it helps the body and mind adapt to the demands of the world, especially when the demands are variable and unexpected. And think of some healthy movements that would be common and easy for elementary school children. And this was something that really shifted my thinking in terms of exercise because I realized that there are certain movements that children do all the time that I have basically eliminated from my day. I might walk, but I'm not doing a lot of getting up and down from the floor or jumping. I kind of gave up jumping after some ankle problems, but it was time to start thinking about how do we reincorporate some of these normal movements. And so play can be a way to test the safety boundaries, and it actually reduces your anxiety. So sometimes we have to work. So how can we make work like play? And I'm sure a lot of you put on some music when you're doing cleaning. Think about some of the things that you do to make something that might just be an ordinary daily activity, make it fun. And maybe there's other activities that you need to boost your motivation. So think about what you could do to change how you're feeling while you're doing it. So I'm just asking you to get creative and think about how to get yourself moving. And I want to just remind everybody that physical activity is good for us. Sedentary lifestyle is the primary cause of 36 diseases. And that came from Todd Hargrove's book. So I'm not going to list the diseases, but you can imagine that our lifestyle is not helping the health conditions that are developing in our society. So we need to think about how to break that pattern. If we could put exercise into a pill, it would be the best medication on the market. Now, this is something that's super cool. Zookeepers can improve the health of the animals in a zoo by enriching the environment and providing enough space to move and explore. We're not so different from the caged animals. And, as the pandemic started and people were staying in, there was that feeling of being in this deprived environment. And so we are so encouraged to get outside, do activities outdoors. It really does make a difference in our overall health. Social and environmental variables are also key constraints on movement, and we can feel ground down by forces outside of our control. And the pain can actually feel like one of those things, but there are other forces as well that constrain us. So a healthy and rich physical and social environment makes it easy to include movement into your lifestyle. And many of us have lost some of that. We've lost some of the social activities or events that would have got us out and going. And a great example would be that you might be more active if you were on a camping vacation and you didn't have your electronic devices on hand, so you weren't checking what was going on. And so just keep that in mind. If you can kind of adapt your environment to encourage the behavior that you're wanting to do, it actually will make it fun. And then natural environments, it's just so good for us. We like to be outdoors better than indoors in general. And I'll admit there's probably a few people on here who would disagree with me, but most of us really get something out of being outdoors. And think about if you're walking on a trail and you're taking in all the sensations. Compare that to a treadmill in your basement where there's no natural light. There's no comparison. It feels like more work on that treadmill. So the sensory feedback is something that helps us. And in this book, we talked about the difference between riding a bike and feeling that movement compared to being on a spin bike. And that kind of gave me a wake up, like, that's right. Our bodies and our brains are looking for more than just the movement. That we're getting some mood boost from some of the other sensory experiences that we're having. So think about exposure to nature as a way to promote your relaxation, stress reduction, immune system is improved, and better sleep and faster healing, even if you're outdoors sitting still. So it's all of the sensory experiences that are important. And now, the other thing is posture. You always hear a lot of negative things about correcting posture. Turns out posture is dynamic and there's no ideal posture. So our muscles will activate this subconsciously. Look at these kids. You think they're in trouble? Look at them, they're slouching. And so normally people would be correcting them. But most research will show that posture and pain there is no causal relationship between the two, and any correlation is weak. And so typically if a teenager is slumping forward with, they're not so much going to have neck pain, but they may actually be depressed. And so another interesting area is posture and core strength. So we've heard a lot of things about strengthening your core to decrease back pain, but general exercise actually works just as well. So you could be choosing the exercise that you like instead of doing these prescribed exercises for your core. And in fact, the opposite, if you can relax your core muscles rather than purposely engaging them, that also seems to reduce low back pain. So it's the more we look at things, the more complex we realize that we are. So bracing your core in everyday activities might actually be counterproductive. So just generally forget about the dogmatic rules that you've been told and start listening to your body. And you might actually find some things are easier. So here's another cool thing. The game is the teacher. We need to be thinking differently. So we learn how to move by doing functional activities and practicing them. So think about how you would learn to ride a bike. No one can sit you down and tell you how to ride a bike. You've just got to do it. And how do you shoot pool? Again, nobody tells you how. You start practicing. Put your eye on the ball, target, practice, and with repetition, you refine it. And if you have pain, same thing. Pay attention to the feedback from your body and try the variations that you can think of and see if you can find the most comfortable and effective movement. So just bringing together movement and pain neuroscience, you should still consult a qualified medical provider to investigate the cause of your pain before taking the advice in this presentation. So this is very general advice for everyone, and I'm kind of thinking more about people with chronic pain where you know that it isn't danger. At this point, it's the same old pain. And so let's be playful and try to see what we can do. The pain is there because your body is perceiving that there's danger. Pain is complex. It's your body's alarm system, but sometimes the alarm just becomes more sensitive. And so we want to find all the ways we can to calm that sensitivity and to be able to do more and to have fun. So some of the sayings that we have are sore but safe, motion is lotion, when in doubt, load it. It's never wrong to get strong. These are things I see these all the time to clients. And they come from some of the pain gurus and educators out there. So we really do believe that it is safe to move. So I guess what I'm asking, I say discussion. I wish this were a discussion. This is designed as it would be a back and forth, but I'm just presenting because of our format here. I want you to think, are you willing to challenge your abilities in slightly different ways? Encourage your body to adapt and be creative, find some solutions. And if you can make it fun, it's going to be that much easier to change your brain and to make this really stick. So there's my references. I encourage people to read Playing with Movement, a fantastic book. Yep, Todd also has a blog, bettermovement.org. And I quoted a few people, so I listed some names there. And now you are ready to play with movement. Thank you, everybody.